Okay, Security Plus. Let's take a look. What we're going to take a look at today is identify the challenges of security, what information security is, types of attacks that we have, attackers, some basic steps of an attack, and then how we can defend against some of these. So challenging of information security or securing information in the 21st century is getting harder and harder. Every year there's more and more data breaches. Every year there's more and more newer technology that has holes or vulnerabilities in it that we need to defend against. So there's no simple solution, and it changes every year. So the things we have to work against are computing power. Computers are getting faster every year. It makes password breaking happen faster. It's easier because of the power that these computers have. The power comes from the GPU. What is that? Graphics process unit, right? So the GPUs have become very fast, and they'll allow us to essentially do brute force password cracking, where we can just throw a whole bunch of words, combination of words, characters, letters against it to try to come up with what the results are and see if they match. Other types of attacks, things like antivirus software, bogus antivirus software. Anybody get the thing that pops up on the screen saying you have X number of viruses? Click this to clean or quarantine. And that click of a link is actually a link on a website. And then it installs software because you clicked yes, you agree, and then it installs software on your computer, which is not actually antivirus software. It was just an ad that popped up. That's gotten a few people that I know of. And then we have merchant data breaches, right? Different organizations losing data. Talk about a lot of those. Hacking contests. This is legit. There's actually a legitimate one where they throw out Linux, Windows, and Mac operating system, and they go, and then everyone attacks those and tries to find out which one gets hacked first. You know which one gets hacked first? No. The Mac gets hacked first because Apple has a tight control over security patches, and the moment there's a vulnerability, I can't say it, the moment there's a vulnerability found, it takes a couple weeks for Apple to get a patch. So they take advantage of that. So it's interesting. And most of the data breaches are visiting a web page. So if they can get the person sitting in front of that computer to visit a web page, that computer is then essentially owned, or pwned as the term goes. Nigerian 419, this has been around for quite a while. Email fraud. Right, you get an email saying, hey, why don't let me deposit money into your account and then you transfer it back? Yeah, that's not a good idea. Don't do that. Ransomware, malware. What's the latest ransomware that takes your computer ransom? We were talking about that last semester. Crypto locker, right? Yes? No? Maybe you don't remember? Crypto locker, what it does is just by getting an email and opening it up, usually the email was related to something about a UPS package, or you have a FedEx package waiting, click here to track it. And when you did that, it installed software on your computer that encrypted all your files, and then popped up a little window that said, your files have been encrypted. Send a money pack or money to this location or this address, and we'll unlock your files for you. And then sometimes the files got unlocked, and sometimes they didn't, if you paid. And then after you paid, a week later, they got encrypted again. And that encryption key that was used to encrypt those things is lost, and your files are gone forever. There's no recovery. There's no cleanup. The only thing you do is format and restore from a backup that has not infected with that, or ransomware or malware. Malware is short for malicious software. So I took a look about midway through 2013. These were the data breaches that were the top 5. Living Social. All right, the company had password encryption method after the breach impacted more than 50 million users. Names, emails, addresses, dates of birth, and the passwords were stolen. Salted passwords. We'll talk about those in a little bit. Washington State Administrative Office had names, social security numbers, driver's license were all accessed. Evernote. I got caught with this one. 50 million usernames, email addresses, encrypted passwords were accessed. No loss of data or credit card information. I actually downloaded this Evernote database, or Evernote text file, essentially. It was a huge, it was about a 60 or 80 gig, or sorry, 60, yeah, or 80 gig file. It wasn't that large. It was large, though. I downloaded it, and Evernote did not use salted passwords. They just encrypted your password with a hash, meaning that we can just change plain text into ciphertext, into encrypted text. So I used the same algorithm that they used in a little program, and I typed in my real password, and then encrypted it using just a hash, just essentially changing. It's like the Orphan Annie decoder ring, where you just change one letter to another letter. It is pretty much like that. It's a substitution cipher, kind of. A little bit more complicated than that. But I then took that encrypted, or that hash, and I searched through that text file I downloaded from the internet, and sure enough, I found my password right there.
Did anybody else use your password?
Well, no, because, well, actually, I don't know if they used it. Because the moment I found out about this, I changed.
Like, were there any other users?
Oh, I don't know. Adobe, yes. The Adobe one was interesting. That's another data breach. That's not listed in here because it happened later on in the year. But not on Evernote. On Evernote, I don't know if my account was tried to be hacked into or not. So I was able to just change my password in Evernote. I changed it the day after everybody was notified. But Adobe, you can actually go to lastpass.com/Adobe and type in your email address and see if your email address was registered with Adobe. And it will tell you if your password was used by anybody else. So in other words, your password is so common that it was used by other people. So one of the most common passwords is like monkey or monkey butt. Password is another password that was common. So yeah, Adobe, I got caught on that one because I had an Adobe account. I purchased some software back when I first started teaching here through the Adobe website. So I still had that account. So I got caught on that one as well. And my password is used by 62 other people because I'd used a simple password back then. It's like, okay, well, I think my password actually had the name Adobe in it. So it was used by 62 other people in that whole list. Drupal had servers. Drupal is an open source content management system. So when you look at a website like Southwest Tech's website is a content management system because it's pulling the programs and the courses out of a database and listing them there. So every time you click on a different program, it changes the display of the web page, and it's all dynamic. So content management system, close to 1 million accounts were stolen. So the company reset everyone's passwords, email addresses, usernames were stolen. Federal Revenue, the internal site. Hacking Collective Anonymous, the Anonymous group. We'll look at them in a second here. Breached one of its internal websites, accessing personal data of 4,000 bank executives. Oh, that's nice, huh? Mailing address, phone number, business, emails, fax numbers were accessed. And now, what are we hearing in January of 2014? Target is the big name. Right? We had the second year students and I had a conspiracy theory yesterday. We came up with the idea that somebody at Adobe, because Adobe's is actually, in my opinion, a little bit worse than this one. Somebody at Adobe, to get their name out of the media, did this to Target. So Target is now in the media and not Adobe. So Adobe, I think I mentioned that last semester. We talked about a little bit. Their source code to Acrobat Reader and a few other things were stolen. In order to clean that mess up, the only way to do it is to rewrite from scratch Acrobat Reader. There's no patches that's going to fix any of that. There's going to be 0-day vulnerability showing up this year. I guarantee it. So, what did we just learn actually this week? 40 million credit cards and debit card information was stolen. That was the original notification from Target. Now another 70 million more. Usernames, passwords, personal information was stolen. So not just the credit card swipes, but actual account information. If you had an account with Target of any sort, or they had your name and address because you purchased something from them. I know a story a couple years ago. There was a teenage girl. She went to Target and she had a credit card with a bank account. She purchased a pregnancy test at Target. She thought she was pregnant. And a month later or 2 months later, guess what showed up at her doorstep? A flyer advertising diapers and formula with her name on it. Yeah. I mean, that's targeted advertising, right? I don't know, some issues there. Target, Neiman Marcus, and there's at least 3 other retailers that we don't know about yet. This is as of this week. Were named to have successful data breaches. So there's still 3 other retailers out there that we don't know of yet, that they haven't released that information. By law, they're supposed to within so many days. We'll find out who those are here shortly. All right. So reasons for different types of security breaches. Universally connected devices, right? All of these devices, phones, computers, are all interconnected through the world's largest network, right? The internet. Increased speed of attacks. They're happening faster. These 0-day vulnerabilities. That means typically we found out about a vulnerability. It didn't get released into the public. They notified, or whoever found the vulnerability, notified the company created a patch, and the systems were patched or updated before the vulnerability became publicly known and used, actively being, attacking the computers. Greater sophistication of attacks, more targeted attacks. It's called spear phishing, where I specifically target this attack right at Tyler. And I just started doing research on Tyler and figure out what he's doing in the target, and my emails and my messages to him are more closely tied to him, so he's more likely to click on something that I send him to infect his computer or to allow me to gain access to it. Okay, delays in patching. Adobe had, I think a few years ago, said they're going to patch once a month, kind of like Microsoft said they were going to. But then there became so many vulnerabilities with their product, they said, okay, we're just going to send out patches whenever we have them. So I think Microsoft still does their monthly patches, but you can get patches more frequently if you want to. But they do them based on once a month. I think second Tuesday of the month is when they send theirs out. Weak patch distribution, that's gotten a lot better with a lot of the newer OSs, and a lot of them like Chrome. Google Chrome updates in the background at least once, if not twice a day. Did you know that? So a lot of products now, when you install them, Java or even Acrobat Reader, they actually ask you, do you want to update, have this automatically update from now on? So they started asking that about 6 months to a year ago, some of these products. Distributed attacks, zombies. So if your computer gets owned by a hacker group, they sell it along with thousands of other computers that are just sitting there waiting to be told what to do. They're essentially zombies. So distributed attacks means that if I wanted to attack, let's say, Amazon, because they did something and pissed me off. So I go out to these forums and buy about 20,000 computers from around the world that I am essentially given their address and the password to gain control of them. So then I send my code to all of those computers, and then at a specific time, I have them trigger to attack and do a denial of service on Amazon. So I personally, my computer is not doing the attacking. It's all 20,000 computers that I purchased a month or so ago are doing the attacking to Amazon. And then Amazon's web services go down and nobody can access Amazon or whatever type of attack you might want to use. So what is this information security that we have? Information security, why is it important, and who are these attackers? Well, security is wanting to protect ourself or our personal property from harm. Okay, the harm can be intentional or non-intentional, right? Slipping on the ice, non-intentional. Intentional, somebody pointing a gun at you. So the same thing goes for information. We try to protect or safeguard from having lost or having it being destroyed. We want to protect it. How do we do that? Here's the goals. The CIA triangle. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. With those three in mind, we can safeguard our information. Confidentiality. Prevent disclosure of sensitive information. Keep it confident. Keep it protected. Not let anyone see it. Integrity. Ensure that the information that I provide to you is the information that I actually intended to provide to you. Right? So making sure that it doesn't change or nobody modifies it while it's making its way to you, while that message I want to send to you. Right? I think in the past, when you created a letter and they had a carrier carry it across countries or to another king or whatnot, what did they do to that envelope? They stamped it with a wax, right? They pressed wax and they pressed their symbol in it so that wax would break once it was opened. So they would send that on the way. That would ensure the integrity of the message was correct and not changed by the carrier or someone who intercepted them. Availability. Here's the balancing act. Sure, we can lock things up and protect them, but how available are they? Can we access them? How many steps do we have to go through to get to it? So we still want to make sure that things are available, but if you have to unlock 6 different locks and combinations to get into your house every day, it becomes pretty unavailable, right? Very difficult to get into your own house. That's not feasible. So you have 1, maybe 2 locks on your door. Or maybe some of us have none at all. It's just unlocked, which is possible. So how do we define information security? We protect it by implementing and ensuring the information is secure using authentication, authorization, and accounting. Authentication. The individual is who they claim to be. My name is Aaron and my password is password.1. Only I know that. That's what I know. I am Aaron, and I verify that by giving you a password that only Aaron knows. Authorization. Now, once I identified myself, we identify, well, what can Aaron do? Once we verify that Aaron is Aaron, what can Aaron do once we know that he is who he says he is? And then we log, we audit. We identify with accounting. We track what happened. Aaron authenticated to this system, and he accessed these files on this date and time. So that takes care of all 3, the AAA of security. So in this diagram, this is in your book, identifies in the center our information. And we implement confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We put controls or locks on them. But we still have to store them using hardware and software, and then access them using software, communications. How do we access the data? Over a network, over the internet, over a phone. So then we implement physical security. We put locks on doors, cameras. But then the personal security we have to take into consideration. Are these people going to follow the rules, or are they just going to hand out the information? And then we have procedures that they must follow. So all of these layers, we implement all of these things to protect our information. And each one has its different way that we can implement them and how many different layers we put on affect how accessible that information is. So some terminology that I've been throwing out already that we want to make sure we clear up and understand what they are. One of them is an asset. That's an item of value. Okay, this coffee cup is an asset. It's my asset. If I lose it, it's not that big a deal. It becomes inconvenient, but it's an asset. Okay, your car is an asset. The computer is an asset, sure, but the information on it is even more valuable, depending upon what information you're storing. So then a threat. A threat is an action or event that can cause harm to it. Okay, what's the threat? Everyone thinks it's an awesome coffee cup. They want to steal it. Okay, so the threat is theft. The threat agent, you who think this is an awesome coffee cup and wants to steal it. You're the threat agent. You're the one that's going to execute the thievery. Vulnerability. I leave it sitting on my desk when I go use the restroom. And I come back and it's gone. That's the vulnerability weakness, the fact that it's sitting here. I can protect it by locking it down with a cable. And then there's a risk. There's always going to be some sort of degree of risk that I have to take. The likelihood that it's going to happen is pretty low. I think you guys are all pretty honest. I'm okay to leave it sitting here. If it gets stolen, well, all right, I accept that risk. You probably needed it more than I did. So here's a nice graphic that shows these different things, right? The hole in the fence is the vulnerability. We should patch up that hole, right? So the threat is a loss of rims, right? The rims are the asset on our car. The exploit is the threat agent taking advantage of that vulnerability. There's that guy, goes through the hole in the fence. Right? Going through the hole is the exploit. And the risk that we take, well, we put a fence up because we don't want the rims on the car to be stolen. So options to deal with the risk. We can accept the risk. Yep, it's going to happen. What's the likelihood, though? How can we get rid of that? How can we reduce the risk? We diminish it by taking precautions, things like implementing controls, putting locks, putting a cable around my coffee cup so it can't leave the desk. Okay, that would be a control I implement to protect this coffee cup, my asset. I can also transfer it. I can just purchase some insurance on my coffee cup. So I pay $1 a month to an insurance company that if my coffee cup gets stolen, they'll replace it for me. Right? In some states, it's a law to have insurance. Insurance for driving your car, right? So companies can get insurance on their data, on the products that they use or provide, the services they provide. So how do we prevent data theft? We have business data theft, proprietary information, research and development. A lot of time, money is put into research and development for companies on new products. Apple is one of them. They protect that information. They don't want anyone to know what their latest product is until the day that they release it. And they take a lot of countermeasures to prevent that information from getting leaked out. Individual data theft. Losing your own personal information. Example, social security numbers, credit cards. So my information was stolen in that Target breach. I got an email that says I can sign up for 1 year of data protection. So what that means is if I want to go open up a credit card at Menards, or I want to buy a new car, you can typically walk up and provide your social security number and an address, and they'll give you a low amount of credit, and you have a credit card. Done. Right? Maybe some of you don't know. It's pretty simple. But now if I go up to Menards and say, okay, I want a credit card, here's my information, they'll go, oh, there's a lock on your account. We can't give you one. You need to unlock this, or we need to wait. It's going to take a week or two to get this, to get an account for you. That's what the data protection services, or that personal information services, does. So it becomes almost an inconvenient. But in case someone's going to use that information about me to create their own identity, then I kind of have to do that. Avoiding legal consequences. There's laws that have been put in place because of different things that have happened. Humans are reactive, unfortunately. So nobody's going to put forth the money or the time into securing something unless they've already lost something. How many have had something stolen from them before? In a locker or something left, right? Or just sitting out. So after that happens, then you go, oh, I'm going to protect my stuff a little better. I'm going to put an actual padlock on that locker, right? Like at a gym. I was at a gym, I had my stuff in my locker, came back, my wallet was stolen. So now what do I do when I go to the gym? I put a padlock on that locker. So unfortunately, it took me a lesson I had to learn the hard way. So this is what these laws have come up with in '96, HIPAA. Right? You go to the clinic or go to the hospital. Every single time you go there, you got to sign the HIPAA form. Right? I think they're getting better, not making us sign those every single month. But it used to be really bad back in the late '90s, early 2000s, having to sign these forms. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. This is for organizations or companies that want to go public. If you want to go public, you have to provide lots of documentation and paperwork identifying that you are practicing good accounting practices. The Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Banks have to abide by this act. And the California Database Security Breach Notification Act. This is, if your company does business in California, you have to notify all of your customers that we got hacked. And we can thank that law for being notified that Target notified its customers, Neiman Marcus, and now hopefully 3 others will tell us. So there's even a point, I think it was like 2002, Citibank Financial. I had a little small loan. I bought some furniture from a company here somewhere in Wisconsin. And I got a letter from them stating that they had backup tapes that backed up their data, their database of customer information, was lost in transit. Whether that means stolen or it fell out of the back of the UPS truck in the middle of Arizona somewhere, I don't know. So I have backup tapes like this, a little cassette tape with my data on it, and it probably wasn't encrypted. In other words, the data was just clear text. So whether it fell out of the back of the truck and is sitting in the middle of the desert right now, covered up with sand, that's fine. Or somebody actually took it and said, hey, look, this is City Financial Records. This is good information. Let's use it. They could pop this in a tape drive, read the information off of it, and now they have all the information that City Financial had about you, which is quite a bit if you ever get a loan. Maintaining productivity. So what? We got a data breach, or we got attacked, we got hacked, something, we had to remove a virus off of a computer. Well, how much does that cost? Let's just take a look at it. If we have 100 employees, the average hourly rate is $25 an hour. We have one employee try to clean up a computer. It takes, or a number of computers, it takes approximately 48 hours to stop the attack. Total hours of productivity lost, that's $4,000 they lost. 81 hours of total productivity is gone. And it just gets worse as you go up, the number of employees that is needed to clean up. And these numbers are old. I'm sure there's newer ones. So who are these guys? Who are these people attacking us? Hackers, script kiddies, hey, that's you and me. Spies, insiders, cyber criminals, cyber terrorists. Who's a hacker? Well, there's black hat hackers, white hat hackers. Just a person, the term hacker itself is not bad. If you tear something apart, figure out how it works, you're a hacker. So that term is not bad. But a white hat hacker is somebody who hacks to try to find security flaws and then notify that organization or company that has that product that has a flaw. That's not bad. Now, a black hat hacker is someone who has malicious or destructive goals. But there's a little gray line there. If I try to hack into the Platteville Hospital, and then I notify the IT administrator there at the IT hospital saying, hey, I got into your system, here's your holes and vulnerabilities. Guess what? Did I just break the law or not? Yes, I just broke the law. Could that person put me in jail? Yes. At least throw me in front of a judge and I have to defend myself. And more than likely, that judge will put me in jail. So going out and trying to be a white hat hacker and just try to hack into different companies is not a good idea because you have not been given permission to do so. In fact, when we use a program called Wireshark in here that we're going to be capturing packets and looking at them to learn about networking, if you use that program outside of this room, you're breaking not only your student policies that we have here that you agreed to, but you're also breaking the law. In fact, using that program here on this network, you're breaking the law. But I'm giving you permission and I'm not going to tattle on you. So it's okay. So you can use it on your home network. In fact, there was a story of somebody using a neighbor's Wi-Fi, and that person's Wi-Fi was going slow, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. So they started snooping and using this Wireshark to figure out where these packets are and what devices are using my wireless network. And they captured the packets of the person who was stealing their Wi-Fi network, and then they tried to file charges against that person, and that person filed charges against them, and guess who won? The person who was stealing the Wi-Fi won the case because their information was being snooped on, and that's a law that was written back in 1934, the Telecommunications Act. That's wiretapping. The person stealing the Wi-Fi, which you'd be relieved to know if you steal Wi-Fi from your neighbor, is only illegal if they can prove that you did, I think, several $100,000 worth of damage. So I don't know, how much does internet service cost around here? About $40 a month, $30 a month? And then what percentage of that did you use up? It's going to take a while to add that up. So rest well tonight. You'll be fine. Okay. All right. Just making sure. So, script kiddies, you and I, this is us, right? Our goal is break into computers, create damage, unskilled. We just download automated hacking tools or scripts that are already pre-written by people with higher skills. And then we use them to either perform malicious acts or just to experiment, right? We're going to experiment with them. The attack software today has menuing systems, very easy to use. Click, 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 select, scan. Okay, take advantage of this vulnerability. Done. So it's pretty simple. So majority of these attacks are usually done by script kiddies that we see out there. Insiders, people inside the organization, people we trust. Wow, almost half of the breaches are attributed to people inside the organization. In a company, just think of like an insurance company or a bank. What is the one department or one type of person in that bank that has physical access to everything? Yes, maintenance, cleaning crew, the maid, whoever you want to, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. And are they the most educated? No, not. More than likely they're not. You don't need a high school diploma to clean. But we give them the key to open up everything. I think a shiny $100 bill would get you the garbage of every single office and probably even a few photos of what's on the desks. It's a pretty cheap way to get information from a business. How many here have been in maintenance before? Done any kind of cleaning? No, nobody? Yeah, they get the master key. Open up all the doors, right? You got to go in and open up all the doors and clean stuff up. Yeah, interesting. So, cyber criminals. Network of attackers, identity thieves, spammers, and they're motivated to make money. They're going to have some sort of financial gain. Spammers. If I send out a email to a few million people and only a few hundred click on the link for whatever type of enhancing drug I'm trying to advertise, I just made myself a few $1,000s. You know how long it took me to type up that email with the link and hit send? Oh, paste in those million addresses? Not even 5 minutes. And I just made myself a few $1,000s. You see how profitable that can be? Yeah. Spammers, that's why they still exist. Cyber terrorists. Here we kind of throw anonymous in there. We have a little YouTube video I'm going to watch, and then I'll let you guys take a break. They have some sort of motivation, political, ideological. They want to spread information or misinformation, or they have some sort of propaganda they want to show off. They do denial of service to prove their points. A lot of times, there is no loss of data or corruption of data. Sometimes there is. So let's take a look at this video, and then we'll take a break. This is a YouTube video. I wonder if we're going to be able to hear it or not.
It is unfortunate that I must first make these statements, but it is a pressing matter that needs to be addressed. Is Anonymous a hate and cyber terrorist or an activist for freedom and truth? No. Yes. Anonymous beginnings make it difficult to understand the entity. Anonymous is simply ideas without origin, may it be a phrase, a fad, a proverb. The concept of anonymous has always existed. The anonymous that we know now, the one currently aligned against the Church of Scientology, which crimes and dangers are well documented, so I will not cover them here. Anonymous started as an image board in Japan nearly a decade ago, a place where there were no rules, no topic, no identity, images and text with no authorship. The only control was whether a post was enjoyed or simply deleted from lack of interest. The individual isn't measured. Slowly, through repetition and this unique natural selection, popular ideas duplicated and developed into memes. These memes would be incorporated into new ideas. Evolution of thought. Eventually, another image board was built in the likeness for the English-speaking world. Quickly, it grew in scope and influence. A public club with secret members, an ecosystem of thought. The diversity of Anonymous is as vast as the human condition, thus, as the way of the universe, the good with the bad, the left with the right. A place where the age of a post is measured in seconds, change is instant, and it is total. Anonymous is the sum of its members divided infinitely. When Anonymous was young, it was immature and childlike, while the majority was simply for entertainment and creativity. The darker and more sinister aspects slowly pooled in the shadows. Soon this poison spread, and Anonymous found itself with a choice: either continue to let the natural chaos, or to go against the very purpose of Anonymous. Those who controlled the medium, the servers, made the fateful decision to purge these cruel and disgusting segments. A great war waged for what is nearly an eternity in the time of the internet. This underbelly broke off and formed their own image boards, where they could do as they wished outside the original. The majority of these splinters were of that same dark and perverse world. Over time, these niches died or consolidated. They are the ones who have done such harm. They are racist because it is offensive. They are sexually perverse because it is outlawed. They are cruel because they can. Yet we cannot disown these aspects of Anonymous as much as we can disown the human race. They are nearly everything the majority stand against and can only survive in isolation. Except they are the ones who dare. They are the ones who dare to stand against the racist radio. They are the ones who, maybe out of guilt, brought a pedophile to justice. They are the ones who dare to think freely without regard for others. And they may have started the meme that has grown so large. For all their crimes, they may have just started this whole thing. But with Anonymous, there is no authorship. Their claim is no more valid than the individual's claim to existence. They are simply a spark, but not the fire. Now, the sum of Anonymous has changed even more. Every day, the immaturity and disgust is diluted by the intelligent and the educated, those who are motivated to take up the cause. Anonymous has grown out of the image boards, out of the internet, and into the world we know, the world in which we live. We have grown and are growing. Every mistake we learn. Every failure we regenerate. Every success we build on. There is no control, no leadership, only influence. The influence of thought. And now it is time that I go, but I will be seeing you on the other side.